Yeah, this is so cool. I've been listening to your podcast lately because I want to see what they're all about, and I always visualized how it would be. And I don't know, like I'm not too familiar with how media works and this and that. You know, I was 32 years old the first time I got a phone.
The first time you got a phone?
A phone. The first time I decided to break down and get a telephone.
Well, well, I don't want to out your age, but
No, it's fine. I'm 37 years old.
What
right now.
year was that? That was
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because my sister used to live next door to me, and that's where I would just get all my messages at. And she's like, "Get a phone already." I'm like, "No, I don't want to be bothered." But then I broke down and got a phone. Like I remember in 2005 was the first time that Zach Gowen introduced me to Myspace. I kept hearing about Myspace, and then it was here in Chicago because we were spending some time at this one chick's apartment. He goes, "Let's get you a Myspace account." So I went ahead and
What
did
a friend.
that. Yeah. And he introduced me to Myspace and blah blah blah. I signed up for it, and right away I thought it was cool. And that night I remember I was like, "Cool! Like you can like." Talk to girls on here.
Yeah.
It was very cool. And my first experience with MySpace with a girl on there was this chick. I remember her name was Kat. Kat was her name, and she said she was German, and she lived right by me. So I was like, okay, cool. So we talked for a few days on there. Then we exchanged numbers, and she used to be a model for Absinthe Liquor. You ever heard of Absinthe? It's only like
is it the one like really highly, like 115% or something? Or
that one,
whatever?
but it's also I think it has like opium in it.
Okay.
Like yeah, it's like some crazy stuff.
So you know
like,
she's a little wild.
Yeah. And I saw pictures, but she kind of forewarned me that like she gained a little bit of weight, which I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Like she was saying she was fat, but I always have a rule there. Like it's funny, a lot of guys like see like more voluptuous girls and say they're fat. My rule is if the stomach is bigger than the tits, then that's fat. But you can be 300 pounds if your tits and ass are exceeding your stomach, then that's fine. That's voluptuous.
The truth is like measuring with his hands. He's showing us. They're out yay far.
I love it. And then so like I was talking to her for a while on the phone, and then I remember me, Zach Gowen, and this one guy Anthony Rivera. We were going to a bar, and then it dawned on me that she lived in that same city. So I was like, hey, I go ahead and gave her a call. And then I was like, come on over to the bar. And she was real hesitant. I remember like really, really hesitant about it. I think she was being self-conscious. But then she decided to come in. So there's me and Zach. And
Do you have your wrestling pictures up as your Truth Martini or like just Martin? On your MySpace?
Yeah. Oh, well, half and half.
Okay.
Half and half.
But
yeah.
sure, but you're like, hey, 3 giant wrestlers are going to come to a bar.
Yeah.
You should come by yourself. Wait,
Exactly.
You're worried about this? Why?
And then she walks into the bar, and I see her from across the bar. I'm like, that has to be her. Now, here was a mountain of a woman walking through the door.
But how's the chest to stomach ratio?
The chest definitely bigger than the stomach.
Well, good.
And then Zach right away nicknamed her Hacksaw Jim Duggan, right? Because we always nickname girls, right? We've had girls named Roadblock. We have all kinds of stuff, right? It's funny.
Let's hear some other ones. Hold on.
Roadblock. What are some other ones? I'm trying to think here. Fuck, nothing's coming to mind.
Right.
I just got put on the spot. It's fine.
Sorry, okay.
So she sits in, and yeah, she was definitely huge, right? So I was like, cool, this MySpace is cool. Look, a girl can just, whatever. And then, so she sits down, and she grabs me, and she puts me on her lap. like that's how big she was, where I was a lot smaller than she was. So we're sitting down talking.
I'm a model.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember she said she went through a divorce or whatever. But then she mentioned... and I was all about it. And I remember my friend Rivera, he's, you know Anthony Rivera. Yeah. He has a strange way of saying things a few times. And he goes to her, he goes, do you like, are you about onesies or twosies? And I have no idea what the fuck he was talking about. And
I know what that means.
Yeah, I didn't know, to be honest. And she goes, seemed confused. She just said twosies. And he was like, cool. And then she mentioned the word, she mentioned she had some pills. And right away, it's no secret, Zach was like, yes, let's go get them. So we go to her house.
At the time, now doing great.
Exactly. He's doing incredible now. So we go to her house, and Zach takes the pills, and he leaves. So now it's me, Anthony Rivera, and this big woman. Her name is Kat.
Hacksaw.
Yeah, Hacksaw.
Please, let's call her by her real name.
I mean, that's how much of a bear of a woman she was. So we walk in, and the first thing I do is, Rivera, he goes right into her computer room. Me, what I did is I took off all my clothes, and I laid down in her bed.
Hold on, okay. Is that the truth? Is that the Martini move?
Yeah, definitely. Because again, I have a cardinal rule. Like, Here's a great way to make sure something's going to happen with a girl. You're making out with a girl, and then you secretly undo your pants and you pull your cock out without letting her know. And then you grab her hand and put it on there, and then she's surprised, like, oh my God, I got a cock in my hand. Now,
It's do or die time, right?
That's right. 9 times out of 10.
Decision time.
Yeah, that's right. Something is always going to happen. Something good, even it might be bad, but at least something.
Well, the
will
cabana
happen.
move is always make out for 4 hours and be like, why can't she just do something? Because I'm too big of a pussy. And so you've probably been through that. You went through that once, and you're like, I'm never doing that again.
No.
Right?
It's, you know, got to make something happen.
My new move is I get naked, I get in the bed.
That's it. So she walks through the hallway and she sees me laying in the bed. So she comes, lays down. We start making out, take her shirt off, and then I see Rivera, like he's right by the door, and I wave him in, like, come on in.
Tuesday. Did you know about Tuesday?
I still didn't know.
But you're like, hey, you're a good friend.
That's right. That's right. So he comes on in, and I remember we're both. I mean, we can speak however we want on this.
Yeah.
Podcast. Okay, cool. So
You've already said I've whipped my cock out.
I just
The unsnip club.
just double checking.
Okay.
And
I
then
mean, you don't know that there's people that, I don't know, we're warning them. Okay, but say whatever you want.
Gotcha. And then, so I remember he has a boob, I have a boob. We're both sucking on the boob. And I remember she had her eyes closed completely, and she's like moaning and all this kind of stuff. And then she gets up and she says, I have to go to the bathroom. I was like, cool. She gets in the bathroom, and Rivera's being kind of giddy. He's like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is so cool. You know, and I'm having a good time laughing. And she was taking too long in the bathroom. And I was like, what the hell is she doing?
So at any time, did you think she was taking a poop?
No, that didn't cross my mind, actually. But that's funny.
That's mine.
Yeah. So I remember I knock on the door. I'm like, Cat. Now remember, she's about, I'll say 6 foot. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
It's got a 2x4.
That's right.
American flag. Everything.
So now try to picture this. She opens up the door, and this is what I see. She pulls a needle out of her stomach, pulls a gun, clocks it back, and points it right at my face and says, "Why did you rape me?"
This isn't real life.
This is real fucking life right now.
Truth.
Rivera starts freaking out. Oh my God, she got a gun. She got a gun. I slap him right across the. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Now I'm starting to realize this girl, she's not sane. She's told me a little bit about her past, how her husband just divorced her and all that kind of stuff like that. So now we're in a fucking pickle, right? I mean, I'm being dead honest. I'm doing dead honest with you right now. So she has a gun, and I'm like, Cat, nobody raped you. She starts crying. She goes, Martin, why did you rape me? She goes, I told you about my past. I told you when I first talked to you. I'm going to try to imitate her the best I can. When I saw, she goes, when I saw you, you looked so beautiful. And then you go ahead and do this. You go ahead and you rape me. And I'm like, Cat. Now I'm trying to like put myself like into like what's going on in her mind right now. Right? So I sit down. I'm like, Cat, look, we had a misunderstanding, okay? Nothing happened. Nobody raped you. All of a sudden, right through the living room lights, right through the living room, a bright light is flashing through the window, and Rivera looks out. He goes, it's the cops. Now, us being from Detroit, every time cops, that means bad. So we always, hide. He hides right away, and there's a knock on the door. Police. I guess when she was in the bathroom, she called the cops. She opens up the door, and this psycho, her demeanor completely changes. She goes, hello? No, it's okay. It was a misunderstanding. Everything's fine. Now, knowing what I know now, again, I was just always scared of the cops, right? I mean, that's how we grew up in Detroit. Cops equal bad. So I would have been yelling for the cops, like, help. She had a fucking gun. So she closes the door, the cops leave, and she sits down, and she's literally rocking back like Mick and Foley, like Mick Foley, fucking with the gun. And then she goes, Martin, why did you rape me? I want an answer. And she's crying. And then I'm like, again, I just have to go back to repeating myself. I say, Cat, it's been a misunderstanding. Nothing happened. And then she goes, just get the fuck out. Rivera's gone right out through the door, right? He's fucking gone. And me, I decide, I go, no. I'm staying right here, Cat. I want to talk about this. Again, I was scared shitless. I ain't going to lie to you, but I'm trying to keep my cool here. I go, Cat, nobody raped you. I understand what's happening. Actually, I kind of like you, which I really didn't. Again, I'm scared that she's about to blow my head off.
Why did you want to stay?
Because I was scared that if I turned around and ran,
she'd shoot you in the back of the head.
me.
Okay.
She'd fucking shoot me. So I'm talking to her, and I said, I actually like you. And I think that we kind of got off on the wrong foot, but I just want to say I find you very attractive. I do like you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home now, and I'm going to call you in the morning, and we're going to work this out.
Good boyfriend.
So I turn around, and I walk out, and as I slowly walking out, I envision my entire life flash before my eyes. Like, here comes a bullet right to the back of my fucking head. And I walk out, and I hop in the car, and Rivera speeds off. And Rivera, he's shaking like a fucking leaf. We're in his truck. He's like, oh my God, she had a gun, she had a gun. And I couldn't help it but just start laughing. But I mean, I was like nervous too, but I was just cracking up. So we get back in my house, and he was so shooken up. I go, bro, are you okay? I started getting concerned about him. I go, you can stay at my house tonight. So he comes, I give him my bed, and I take the couch. And at the time, again, my mother, we lived there too. And again, at this time, Kat had my mom's phone number. So I'm laying.
You really didn't have a phone.
I didn't exactly. I didn't have a phone. So I'm laying down on the couch, replaying the entire night. At this time, it's like 5 a.m. I just replay the whole night, and I'm laughing, and I doze off. I guess. Next thing I know, my mother's waking me up. And I look, and it's barely daylight out. It's probably like 6:30 in the morning. This is like an hour later. My mom's like, you have a phone call. I'm like, huh? I grab the phone, I go, hello, and I hear this. Why did you rape me? I felt like I was in a fucking nightmare.
It's like a camp story.
It was crazy. But again, it's a long story. But long story short, what happened was, and then I said, my family, don't call here. My family's getting upset. I'll call you in the morning. I check my newly fucking not Facebook, but MySpace. I see a message from this guy in a karate named Pharaoh. He says, me and you have problems. I go, what the hell's this? And it's the whole story. You raped my friend Kat. I'm coming to kill you. I'm like, what is going on here? So again, long story short, I weaned myself away from her because I didn't want to cut it off completely because I didn't know what she would do, So it was like, I'll call you tomorrow. I don't, but I do the next day, and then maybe a week later, slowly weaned off till it died out. So that was my introduction to MySpace.
And then has that stopped you from going on these?
Not
these Facebook, MySpace.
Not one bit, but that's my first story about MySpace, which is great.
Which is your first welcome to the internet.
Yeah, and one other thing that I loved about MySpace was that, like in school, growing up
I
in
love
school,
how you're like that guy who's like old high school football, who lists his old high school football stories. You're like retelling your MySpace stories.
Exactly.
Oh, the MySpace days.
MySpace was great.
The glory days.
I loved it. And the only other thing that I really liked about MySpace was that, again, growing up in school, I was really, really shy, right? Super, like almost painfully shy. I didn't talk. I didn't do that stuff. I was like, especially with the girls, super, super shy. And I had these 3 high school crushes. I mean, these girls were like, the kind, they're untouchable. You know what I mean? Too shy to talk to them and that kind of stuff. And because of MySpace, later on in life, I banged all of them.
Yeah, you told me that one before.
Yeah, so I accomplished that. But there's a sad side to that because those 3 girls were always my go-to when I couldn't think of anything else to masturbate to. And then, of course, the fantasy was always better.
Yeah, you'd rather. I think you'd just rather just. And you'd rather keep it in there.
Exactly. The fantasy was always better, so sometimes I'm like lost. I don't know what to think.
Maybe that's why I don't have sex with a lot of my fans. It's just like, well, their sex with me in their head would probably be a lot better than what it really would be. But not you. You'll have sex with any fan any day of the week, right?
That's great. Why not?
Yeah.